What is the evidence that Jesus is God? In this video, I'm going to be explaining how I believe that Jesus is God and not this good moral teacher and all the evidence that we have that Jesus is God. But before I do that, I just want to recommend a book to anyone who has doubts about their faith. It's Sorry Not Sorry by Jone Dore. I hope I said that right. But this book is a great book for somebody that's having doubts about their faith and the questions that they might get asked by atheists or from other religions about their faith. It goes through just simple questions and complex questions, and it has simple answers and complex answers as well. I know that she most likely did a lot of work on this book because it puts it into a perspective that makes it so easy for people that are simple like me. So that's why I want to just say thank you, Jone, for making this book. I really appreciate it. That being said, I'll link an affiliate link in the description below. Alright, let's get in the video. So, number one reason why we can know that Jesus is God is that Jesus said he was God, but he never said that he was specifically God, but what he did say is that he was I am. If we look back to Exodus chapter 14, we see that God is referring to himself to Moses as I am. I am means Yahweh, meaning the self-existing one. And then we see in Jesus talks about himself in John chapter 8, verses 58 through 59 says, "Very truly I tell you, before Abraham was, I am." At this, they picked up the stones to stone him. The religious leaders knew exactly what Jesus was saying when he claimed to be I am. And over the book of John, Jesus claims to be I am 7 times total. And we also see in the book of John that he backs up his claims 7 times. He doesn't say I am and then doesn't back it up. He proves that he's God by showing these 7 signs. So the first sign that we can see is that Jesus turns water into wine in John chapter 2. This shows that Jesus has the authority over science, because as men, we can't turn water into wine. Water is water and wine is wine. You can't do that unless you're God himself. So this shows that Jesus has the authority over science. Alright, the second sign that we have that shows that Jesus is God is that he heals a man's son in John chapter 4. Alright, this shows that Jesus has the authority over space. What do I mean by that? Well, if we look at this story in John chapter 4, we see that the man goes to Jesus and he tells him, Lord, 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 come and heal my son. He wants his son to be healed, and he says to come with him. But Jesus says, go therefore, your son's already been healed. And he's like, what? And he goes back home and he realizes his son is healed. And this shows that Jesus is God by him being everywhere, because God is everywhere. He's everywhere. He's all throughout the earth. But man, we can't be like that. We're stuck in one place. Like right now, I am here. I'm not in Africa. I'm not in Russia. Like, I'm here. So that shows that God is everywhere and he has the authority over space. The third sign is that Jesus heals a lame man in John chapter 5. The lame man was sick for over 38 years, and Jesus goes and he heals him. He tells him to pick up his mat and walk. This shows that Jesus has the authority over time. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't matter how long you've been sick or how long you've been struggling through stuff, is that Jesus has the power to heal that because he has that authority over time. The fourth sign that we can see is that Jesus feeds the 5,000 in John chapter 6. He feeds the 5,000. Jesus shows that a man can only create something out of something, but God can create something out of nothing. What do I mean by that? If we go to Genesis, we see that God just talks and speaks the world into existence. He creates the heavens and the earth by just speaking, but us, man, we can't do that. I can't just be like, alright, I want a milkshake. Alright, I want a new TV. And then just speak it and just boom, pop up. That'd be really cool, but we don't have that power, because God is the only one that has that power, because he's the only one that has the knowledge to actually handle that kind of power. So, okay, the fifth sign is that Jesus walks on water. I don't know about you, but I can't walk on water, and I don't know anybody that can walk on water. Not one man can walk on water. And Jesus shows that he can walk on water. And this shows that Jesus has the authority over nature, because us men are bound by nature, like the laws of gravity, and we're going to sink. We're going to sink into the water. But Jesus shows that he's above that. He's a supernatural being that's above the laws of nature. So the sixth sign is that Jesus heals a blind man in John chapter 9. And this shows that Jesus has the authority over sickness. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how sick you are or what you're going through. Is that He's able to heal you, and this shows that Jesus has the authority over sickness. And the seventh sign that we see that Jesus is God is that Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead in John chapter 11. This shows the authority that Jesus has over death. No man can raise any guy from the dead. I can't just go to the graveyard and just be like, I want to raise everyone to the dead. Like, I can't do that because I don't have the authority, because I am not God. Alright, God's the only one that has the authority over death. And this shows that Jesus has the authority over death. So those are the signs. Alright, and now the third point that I want to make is that Jesus fulfilled prophecies from the Old Testament. A quote from Fritz Rittner in Joan A. Duray's book, Sorry Not Sorry, he says, the Old Testament contains over 300 references to the Messiah that were fulfilled in Jesus Christ's computation. Using the science of probability on just 8 of these prophecies show in the chance that someone could have fulfilled all 8 prophecies in 10 to the 17th power, or 1 in 100 quadrillion. That is a big number.
If you were to take 10 to the 17th power Girl Scout Thin Mint cookies...
How many?
That's over a quintillion cookies. And spread them across the state of Texas...
Yeehaw!
They would cover every inch of the state and form a pile of Girl Scout Thin Mint cookies 2 feet deep.
That's a lot of Thin Mints. A whole lot of Thin Mints.
Now take one more Thin Mint and lick all the chocolate off, toss it into that pile, and stir the whole thing up. Blindfold yourself, walk the entire state from Amarillo to Laredo, stopping just once to stoop down and pick a single blind Thin Mint cookie.
Got it.
Take off the blindfold.
Aw, nuts.
That's a huge thing to look at. But I'm just going to share a few of the prophecies that Jesus fulfilled, but he fulfilled all of the prophecies. Messiah would be born of a virgin, boom. Messiah would be rejected by his people, boom. Messiah would ride on a donkey. The Messiah would be betrayed. The Messiah would be mocked and ridiculed. The Messiah would be crucified with criminals. And obviously there's more prophecies that you can look up. Most importantly, the Messiah would be resurrected from the dead, die on the Roman cross, and be resurrected from the dead. So that's all the prophecies, and there's way more prophecies that you can look at. The fourth point I want to point out that Jesus is God is that people claim that he rose again. People saw that he rose again. Alright, he appeared to Paul, who was persecuting Christians. And then Paul ended up changing the way that he looked at things. He turned 180 degrees and started to follow Jesus. He also appeared to the 500 in 1 Corinthians 15:6. He also appeared to James, who was a skeptic of his brother. And we also looked that he appeared to women, and he appeared to the 12 disciples. Acts chapter 1 verse 3 says that after his suffering he presented himself to them and gave many convincing proofs that he was alive. He appeared to them over a period of 40 days and spoke about the kingdom of God. So because a lot of people think that they just saw Jesus like a hallucination. They were like, oh, I think I see Jesus. There's many proofs that Jesus was alive, because all these people, all over 500 people saw that Jesus was alive. And they can't just have all the same hallucinations. They can't have that. That's just more of a miracle than actually Jesus raising from the dead. The fact is, if they were hallucinating still, like if somehow they hallucinated the same exact thing, that meant that Jesus still would have been in the tomb and his body would still be there and buried. So, and the fifth point that we can look at is that the disciples were willing to die for what they believed, that Jesus is God. This doesn't prove it alone, but they really believed it was true. They were once cowards. They denied Jesus when he got captured and was going to be put on a cross. But then after he rose again, they turned 180 degrees and they were willing to be burned, beheaded, sawed, stoned, crucified, and risk their lives, all for something that was made up. No, they wouldn't have made all this up if they were going to have to risk their lives. If they knew that Jesus was in the tomb and they knew that this was all fake, or they hid his body, what was there to gain? It wasn't like people were praising them, like saying, oh, Jesus is risen, like how awesome is this? No, like people were like, no, you're going to be crucified. They're going to behead you. There's nothing to gain from this. It's a mouthful. But the sixth point is that we can look at is that God can do all things. What do I mean by this? A lot of people think that God can't turn into a human, there's no way that God can be human. But the thing is that he has no limitations. If he can run the world and manage everything that goes on in the world, then it wouldn't be difficult for him to put his spirit into human. And for example, I think of it like a gamer, okay? A gamer can create his own game. He can create the graphics of the game. He can even create the console that played on. All the moving parts, he can create the codes, make sure that everything is going on. He can also create the humans inside the game, all the, background characters or whatever. If he wanted to, he can create his own character in the game to play the game. This is possible. And I know that's not the best example, but for somebody that likes RPG games and likes playing games where you create your own person and you kind of live out your fake life, I guess, it makes sense, but I hope it does. And just to point out that God has no limitations. He's able to manage the world because he's God, and so therefore he's able to put his spirit into a human if he wanted to. Thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, make sure you like the video. It really helps if you like the video. It gives this video out to more people. Thank you guys for watching again. I really appreciate the feedback that I'm getting through social media and from church as well. Love you all. Peace.
Lifting his name on high.